Kim, let's talk tech. This is certainly an area that you have so much experience in, and there's been so much focus on AI and NVIDIA, which we will get to. But the thing I've been really thinking about, and I think a lot of our viewers probably own companies like a Google, my biggest question mark right now is I use AI to search for everything. I don't Google anymore. How are you looking at how AI impacts Google?
Well, I think you've hit it right on that nail on the head with your intro here. And one of the reasons why I sit here before you is I used to work at neural networking companies that created products for companies, businesses in the 90s, but didn't return value. And by that, I mean the problem that they solved was more expensive than the cost of the problem that we were solving was less than our solution, right? That is not a winning success for a consulting company. So I got an MBA and started doing stock picking of tech stocks instead. But so every tech stock that I look at, I ask the question, what problem is it solving? Because this was the thing that landed me over here, right? And from what
Right.
I can see, people are using AI instead of Google for search. And why? Well, you get the answer. You don't have to go and then look at sites and figure out, well, where is the answer? It just plops
Right.
it into right in front of you. This is the question. What do I make for dinner? Here you go. This is what you make for dinner. But my problem is
Mm-hmm.
this, and I think Google knows this, it's going to kill search and it's going to supplant it. But at what price? These large language models are unbelievably expensive to create and maintain. And I think this is a real issue. Who's going to pay for them? It's you and I aren't going to subscribe. We're not trained to do that. We are trained to have advertising, replace that payment for us. And I don't think advertisers are going to pay up like 2 or 3 times, even though they might get better leads or, more ads in front of the end user. So this is a real issue. And I think Google has pursued AI just so it can try to keep those advertisers within its ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other aspect too, when you look at Google, right, they have so many other areas that generate revenue, like YouTube. So
Right.
I don't want to discount that. I also don't want to discount the brains at Google that they can't kind of figure this out. But it's a real dilemma. What do you do with your Google stock? Do you sell it or do you buy it because you think that they can figure this out?
I mean, that really is the question. And I think it's too early right now to tell who's going to win the AI wars. And wars they are.
Yeah. What do you make, knowing so much about chips? What do you make? I'm just so curious about DeepSeek being able to supposedly compete easily with ChatGPT and other AI providers. I can't believe I'm calling them a provider. Seems too early. But
Right.
but they did use NVIDIA's lower end chips. So what does this all mean? Can they do it for
Well, a couple
cheaper?
of things. Now that we're in AI, right, there's two parts of it. There's building the model, and then there's mining the model for your question. And those take two different kind of chips, believe it or not. And the
Hmm.
ones that are used to create the model, they have to be super high powered. And the other set of chips can be less so. Okay, so the question is called an inference engine. That's the one that's answering your question. And the large language model is just the large language model. Anyhow, I think that it's good that NVIDIA has both ends of it, but I also think NVIDIA is a target itself because most of the world doesn't want to necessarily pay up for NVIDIA's high quality products. They'd much rather buy a good enough chip that could get them, especially in the inference area, that could get them the answer fast, but be far less expensive. And I think this is an issue that NVIDIA is going to have to face.
Do you think that they can solve it? They've been the leader for so long now.
Yeah, I think they can. It's called margins. They have ridiculously high margins, and those are going to come down, which aren't great for the investors because they're there for the margins. Oh, and the growth, but mostly now the
Hmm.
margins because that hyperbolic growth of, hundreds of percent year over year isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So do you stay the course with NVIDIA, or do you trim and sell?
I would trim a little bit because you're probably holding a whole lot more than you bought.
That's true. Okay, Kim, we got to leave it there. I could talk for hours to you. Thank you.
Thank you.